Hi, my name is Kalisha. I'm so excited to be doing my first makeup tutorial. I have loved makeup for the last 20 years, but never felt like my technique was quite good enough to start posting tutorials. But I decided that now is the time. So interesting story about me. I was in a 14-year marriage and left my abusive husband finally after 18 years together. I have been living in hiding for the past year as he has been stalking me. I had to leave my job, leave everything I own. He ended up stealing everything I own down to my entire makeup collection that was worth thousands and thousands of dollars. I was a bit of a makeup hoarder. So I'm still living in hiding, but the thing is, I still love a little beat and I'm not going to let him steal that joy away from me. So while I am rebuilding my entire life, that includes rebuilding my makeup collection. And because I'm rebuilding everything, that means that affordability is key. So I wanted to show you guys not only how I do my makeup, but I wanted to show you what products I'm using because I'm using, for the most part, very affordable products. And even when I'm not buying the most affordable, as far as MSRP goes, I am buying on sale on clearance only. And I will show you some of the places that I find high-end makeup for much, much less than regular retail. So I am super excited. Hopefully you guys like this. I will be sharing more videos of just different looks, different products as I build up my collection. Thank you all for watching. I'm so excited. So I've already done so much yapping about who I am, wanted to catch you up to what I'm doing. So I've applied primer. I use the Maybelline Grippy Primer, the serum primer. I love it. It's like the Milk Hydro Grip, but it's a serum and I really like it. I am now using the Maybelline color corrector. So this is in the shade orange. I like to color correct because I go for a super bright under eye and I need to cancel out any darkness so you don't get gray. And you will see here that I am using the Elf hydrating camo concealer. I use a few of these, but I like it. I like a nice full coverage concealer. To be very honest with you, like I'm good with any of the Elf camo concealers because they have this hydrating one and they have a matte one. I just kind of grab whatever I can find in the store. They're like $7, $8. Full coverage. I love them. You'll see that I am applying everything with these tiny little brushes. I believe they're supposed to be lip brushes. I found them on Amazon. I literally got like a 50 pack for like $10 or something like that. It might have even been, like 100 for $10. They're super inexpensive. But why this is important for me is number one, I have eyes that react to everything. They get really watery if product gets in them, so I have to be super careful, especially around my under eye, that I'm not getting product in my eyes or it's a mess. But also, what I've learned with makeup is I used to be the girl that like just slathered loads of makeup on. You'll see I use a lot of products, but I use a little bit of a lot of products and layer. And so with makeup, it's all about placement. Where are you putting products? Is it going to do what you want it to do? And I like a super snatched face. I have like a round little like chubby face. So I like to snatch my face. And so I use that tiny little brush from Amazon to help me apply the product exactly where I want so that I'm not just applying globs of product because it shows. It looks cakey, it looks thick. When I do all of this, you will see that it does not look like a lot of makeup. In fact, people are always like, "Oh, it doesn't look like you have that much makeup on." Like, girl, I have like 26 layers of makeup on. What are you talking about? But I use this shade. It's a little light for what I'm doing. I just kind of grabbed it because I thought it would work. And so my first layer of concealer is usually Around my complexion, because I did put that color corrector on first, I can kind of go lighter, and that's what I did here. If you didn't do a color corrector, I would say basically match this to your complexion, maybe a shade lighter, because you are going to want to cancel out that darkness and not have that ugly gray background, that undertone when you just go straight light, it turns gray and it's not cute. So with liquids, I like to dry them down before I blend them so that they stay in place. With blending, you really want your products to stay. I put it in place in this with this tiny little brush for a reason. So drying it down increases the coverage and it helps it just to stay in place. So you see, I used that little fan. I got it from Amazon. It's for eyelash extensions. It was in a kit with like a bunch of things for eyelash extensions for like $9. And this Real Techniques brush, I love, love, love it. It's like a kitten paw concealer brush. I'll include the info for it's like $5 or $6. It is amazing for blending out your concealer. You will see that you don't really need to do much and it just blends out the product for you. I absolutely love it. So this is my first layer of concealer, and you'll see I conceal under my eyes. And again, I'm kind of like snatching my face. I do my forehead, I do down the center of my nose, I highlight that, and then it's all about being symmetrical and just evening out my face. So I also do my chin and the middle of my upper lip area, and it's going to really help even out everything and kind of balance out. Okay, so you're gonna see me coming in with my second concealer. So I'm staying with that Elf Hydrating Camo Concealer. I got a couple shades lighter. So it's going to be literally the same exact process as what I just did. Again, I love a super bright under eye, but you will look crazy if you just go in with your bright concealer first. So I like to build it up, and that gives you a bright under eye that doesn't look gray, doesn't look weird. And also because I'm layering these full coverage concealers, I'm really getting that color and I'm not having like any darkness, anything else peeking through. It's really giving me that true color. So you'll see again, I'm literally putting this concealer, just a brighter shade of the same exact kind of concealer, right over top of where I just blended that other concealer out at. And what's funny is if you look at me, like, I mean, you can tell it's brighter, but it doesn't look like a ton of concealer. And also, I just kind of want to talk about the shape of the concealer that I'm doing, why I'm putting it where I'm putting it. So, I like a nice snatched nose. You will see that I am going to snatch and contour that nose up. So, by going up onto the sides of the nose, it's kind of like a reverse contour. So, I'm kind of starting that process getting that super snatched defined nose by bringing the highlighting concealer up onto the sides. And here I'm putting this concealer kind of out the outer corners of my eye, and you'll see that I blend that all the way out into my hairline. And that just again kind of lifts my face up and helps me to snatch everything. I like having sharper angles on my face because, like I said, I have a chubbier, rounder face, and I like having sharp angles to kind of counteract that. And it just helps me to have like a more snatched and lifted look versus kind of that like soft, doughy, round face, chubby face that I do have. So again, if you already kind of have more like defined features, you don't need to go as sharp as I am going. I like very angular concealer product placements to kind of just give my face that shape that it doesn't have. And you'll even see this time I don't think I talked about it before, but I'm kind of bringing those angles down underneath my lips as well. Again, it's all about kind of balancing the face out. I want everything to be kind of snatched and angular. And so I'm bringing those colors all around my face, just in those kind of angular shapes. And you'll see that when it all comes together, it's really just going to snatch and lift and contour my whole face without being super obviously contoured. But it's really going to shape everything. I am using a liquid bronzer. It's a contour slash bronzer. I used to go full contour, which a real contour is going to have like a gray undertone because it's meant to look like a shadow. I used to do that back in the day, but it can be very, very harsh. So I've opted now for doing a bronzer, which is going to give you that same look. So it's like a darker color, so it's going to kind of shape your face, but because it's not that gray undertone, and I prefer more of like a orangey red undertone that literally looks like I just got like a tan. Like I was out in the sun. It's gonna give you this like warmth and glow, and it's gonna be beautiful. And bronzer is like my favorite. And I'm so sad because when I first started makeup, we didn't have bronzers. Black girls did not have bronzers. There weren't any dark enough. So for Elf, a very affordable brand, to have a bronzer that actually works for me, I'm super excited. I go between liquid and cream on this bronzer slash contour step. Same with the concealer because it is a liquid and liquids can move. I like to put it down and give it some time to kind of dry and settle before I blend it so that it doesn't move. So you'll see I'm putting some around my forehead. I wanted to just look like I came back from like a tropical vacation. So I put it around my forehead, which again helps balance everything out. If you have a larger forehead, this is going to be great for you. You'll see again, I start getting kind of angular. I do my jawline because I have a double chin. I like to kind of take that away. You'll see that. I even do around my chin just to kind of again get that more chiseled, defined look. As my face, I don't like how like round and puffy it is. And so all around my hairline, you'll see that bronzer, and you will see me, of course, cheek. So very big on that cheek bronzer slash contour. You want to make sure that it's placed up higher. Like I place it basically right up on my cheekbone, because if you place it lower, it's actually going to make your face like droopy. It's not going to give you that snatched and lifted look. It's gonna make you look older, it's gonna make your face look droopy, it's not a good look, so actually put that bronzer higher than you think you need to, right on your cheekbone, not under it like we used to do, and you can see even when I was kind of, like, sucking my face in, I could see those lines, and it's all about playing with light, those lines of where I could put the bronzer just to kind of help sharpen and define. So using this angular brush as I get um, to my nose. Again, got these angular brushes super cheap from Amazon. Got like 20 of them for like $5 or something. They're supposed to be eyeliner brushes, but the great thing about makeup and brushes is you can use whatever you want, wherever you want. It can tell you what to do. So I just need something very small, very like tiny and detailed so I can get into that nose contour. And that is why I'm laying it down with an angular brush. And it's easier than that lip brush that I had since I'm doing like a long straight line. That long angular brush is just really easy to get that long straight line that I'm looking for. So just snatching my nose. And you will see that I do even a little like swoop across the tip there. And that to me, it just gives me like the cutest little button nose tip and kind of breaks it up. If not, my nose just kind of looks long. And so by adding that little line there at the bottom of my nose, it just gives me this cute little tip and makes my nose look super cute and like a little button. And I love it. Then you can see here, I am bringing that from the corner of my eye out to my hairline for the bronzer. And again, this is just lifting my face. It is literally like having a face lift. Have you seen those like tapes that you can like tape on the sides of your face and then pull the string so it like lifts your eyes and everything up? This is exactly what that does, but with makeup, and it's amazing, and it's gonna lift everything up and suck it up and snatch it, and it's gonna be phenomenal. This really, I just started adding this bronzer in probably like a year ago, right here, and it's literally made such a difference in how my face looks. It just again gives it more structure. Before I added this kind of bronzing at the corner of my eye, I just felt like my face didn't really look structured. It kind of looked like muddy and I don't know. But adding this just kind of breaks everything up, gives you that structure, really like helps to snatch that face and lift that face, give you a whole facelift with makeup, and it's amazing. And you can see here the bronzer color that I'm using isn't super dark. It's darker than my complexion, of course, but it's not super dark, so it's not gonna look really harsh. And again, that undertone isn't that like gray that we used to do back in the day for contour, so it's gonna look more like I just got like a tan, and it's gonna look really natural. So now, since I put that down, my concealer's been sitting for a minute, so I'm gonna start blending that concealer out again with that paw brush. And I like to show you kind of my frame of reference is that little birthmark on my chin. If you can still see the birthmark on my chin, that means that it's not like fully opaque. And that you can still kind of see skin underneath it. So that's why I keep showing you that birthmark on my chin. Like, oh, I can still see it. Because even with I'm on my second layer of concealer, you can still see it. So again, showing you that yes, I have a lot of product on, but guess what? It's not what you think because I'm using such a small amount and blending it out. All right, so I'm blending out that liquid bronzer. So showing y'all the brushes that I'm using. So this is a Morphe brush. It's for like cream bronzers. And I like it because it allows me to kind of diffuse the product out. Again, you want it to stay in place, but you're trying to make it look natural. So that's why I like this kind of, it's not a fluffy brush because it's pretty densely packed, but it's not like this firm brush like the angled brush that I showed you. So it's gonna allow me to diffuse that product more, which again just makes it look more natural, less harsh, and it looks more like a little tan. But as you'll see here, even though I'm using that brush, I'm still keeping everything kind of in place. I go down on my jawline because again I'm trying to hide these double chins that I got here. So I put that product going down, and you will see here that I'm gonna switch out to this kind of more dense brush. It's a Japanese brush that is gonna help me keep things exactly where I want. It's gonna give me that diffuse look as well, but it's really gonna help me keep the product exactly where I want since I already have my edges done. I'm not trying to have product all over my hair. So this lets me go exactly where I want when I'm blending. And I even, as you see, like go up towards my hairline so it's not light and then dark. I'd like to apply that product even there too to kind of just make everything look natural and seamless and not a band of light and then a band of dark. So same thing, I'm using that same brush. Um, Along my eyes and my cheekbones because again I really want to make sure everything stays in place. And with the cheekbone, the big thing, like I said before, you're gonna put that bronzer higher than you would kind of think. It's not under the cheekbone, it's right on the cheekbone, and then you're gonna blend it up, not down. Because if you blend it down, it's gonna have you looking old and droopy, and you do not want that. You want to be lifted and snatched. So I blend up with that. And again, I'm using this brush that allows me to really control where the product is going. So again, I'm not using a ton of product, but hopefully you can see the shape kind of coming together now here. That it's not that it's a ton of product, it's that I have the product in the right places so that it's doing the work that I need it to do without like just slathering on a ton of product just for the sake of slathering on a ton of product. So as I start on my nose, you'll see I switched out. This is a Real Techniques eyeshadow brush. Again, the great thing about makeup is nobody can tell you what to use or where to use it. So I absolutely will use eye brushes on my nose because I need a small brush. So I will show this Real Techniques brush set was like 4 brushes for like $10. So there's a smudger brush and a shader brush. So you can see the shader brush is like fluffier than that smudger brush, and I'm kind of using both of them to blend out that nose because I need it to stay in place. I'm not gonna lie, nose contour is tricky for me just because it's such a small space and you're working with contour right next to highlight and then highlight again at the edges. That kind of eye to nose highlight. So it's just a lot, and it's very easy. If you get this wrong, your nose is going to look crazy. Like your nose will look crooked. Your nose will look too skinny, it'll look too wide, it will look crazy, and it'll be very obvious. Nose contouring and highlight is definitely, I would say, the most difficult part because you have to be so intricate. And even here, colors, I typically go lighter on my nose contour because if I use the same color that I use on my face, it can look super harsh. No matter how much I blend, it'll just look really harsh and fake. And so I just try to go lighter on my contour, and I really take my time and use, like I said, those teeny tiny little eye brushes to blend everything out because I want everything to stay where it's supposed to go. And even then, like I'm gonna have to fix it a few times because you want those lines to be straight, or else your nose will straight up look crooked on your face. And you want, your contour to be where it's supposed to be, your highlight to be where it's supposed to be, or else your nose will look too fat or too skinny, and it's just not a good look. Okay, now I am taking Makeup Forever. This is like an HD matte concealer. So I talked about affordability. These retail for $30 a piece. I know that's not affordable. I found them on sale at Sephora for 50% off. So they were $15 a piece, which is not bad for such an expensive concealer. It's waterproof. It's a nice, like super mattifying, like full coverage concealer. I have two colors. You will see the colors that I have are super light. So again, I like a super bright under eye, and you can see I'm going in with the darker of the two. I mean, they're both very, very light for me, but I'm going in with the darker of the two at my outer corners. because what I've found is when you do a bright under eye, if you do a bright under eye, your super bright under eye color all the way across your under eye, it's going to be way too much, way too harsh. So I use that darker of the very bright colors at the corner of my eyes. And again, I'm going to brighten up kind of everywhere else that I've already highlighted. So you'll see the chin, upper lip, you'll see the forehead. So again, just kind of this is my third level or third layer of concealing. Well, actually fourth if we count that color corrector. We didn't use it in all the same places as our concealer, but level 3 or 4, depending on what you count as a concealer. So just using this all over again, those same places, and you'll see me go in with that lighter concealer right under my eyes and kind of up on the side of my nose. And this concealer is super bright, but again, you just have to be um, wise when you're using this, not add a ton of it because it can be very harsh. And I'm showing you just how light that is. Like this is a white concealer basically on my skin, and I'm using it um, just right on the sides of the nose, right under that eye, and not going nearly as far as I would usually do with my other layers of concealer because I just want to concentrate this brightness right on the center of my face. And so, yeah. So here you'll see I'm actually going under that bronzer. And just like how I did with the nose, where I go up on the sides of the nose as like a reverse contour to really make that contour pop, that's basically what I'm doing here. Because the color that I'm using, as you see with my bronzer, it's not like super, super dark or harsh. What I like to do is really, really define it. So I actually go underneath that contour with a lighter concealer, and that's really going to help to make that pop without adding a really dark and really harsh color. And then comes, yay, blush. I never used to be a blush girl back in the day. I am all about blush now. I have total blush blindness now. This is actually an Elf liquid blush. I think it's the liquid camo line, same as the concealer. I love that line, as you can tell. This blush is like $7 or $8. I think I got it half off, so I got it for like $3 or $4 at Ulta. Just a really, really, really pretty color. And so I go kind of crazy with that blush, and I basically just mirror what I had done with that bronzer with blush. And I love it. It makes me happy. So everybody has their different orders of blending. I like to blend out my blush before I blend out my concealer. I kind of marry my concealer over it. And you'll see I use this blush brush that also has kind of this kitten paw shape. And I really like it because it allows me to blend without really any effort. It just kind of hugs my cheeks and lets me blend in. This is an Eco Tools blush brush. I got a set of two different blush brushes on Amazon for like $5 from this Eco Tools line. And I love it. This one I use for the cream blush, and then the other one I'll use for powder. It's like an angled brush. I'll attach a picture of it. But as you can see here, I don't really mind how high up I'm going with that blush. I'll go right up under my eye because again, I'm gonna blend my concealer down into it. That unblended, super bright concealer, it's all gonna blend together. So I'm grabbing that wonderful Real Techniques kitten paw brush. I'm gonna start blending out that lighter concealer after I've let it sit. So you're gonna be like, oh my God, girl, you have this super light like chunk under your highlight. What's going on? Or under your contour? What is going on? But remember, I have not put foundation on yet, and I'm not gonna wear a traditional foundation. I'm using like a concealer enhancer from Juvia's Place. So it's super lightweight, basically like a tinted moisturizer type deal. That's what I've been on lately is tinted moisturizers. I only use concealer or actual foundation if I'm going somewhere like fancy and I want like full coverage, but for an everyday I'm not. But it's gonna blend out. So don't worry, because it's like, girl, what do you have going on right now? This is not your skin color, but remember that we're gonna put over top of this, we're gonna put that Juvia's Place product. And so it's gonna all blend out. This is underpainting. So when we talk about underpainting, and doing your concealers and all your bronzers and all that fun stuff before you do foundation. That's this. And you can still see, I keep calling it a birthmark, but it's a beauty mark. You can still see that beauty mark on my chin. So I am 3 layers of concealer in on my chin, and you still see that beauty mark. So again, that's just proving to you that yes, I have on a lot of product. Yes, I have 3 layers or 4 layers of concealer on my face right now, but still that skin is like peeking through because you can still see that beauty mark, and that's kind of my gauge. And as I said, my nose is the hardest part for me, so I put that lightest concealer on my nose, and you're going to see me kind of fussing with it with those two brushes, really trying to perfect the shape, perfect the lines, make it look natural and not just like two big, dark, harsh lines are going down my nose. So I'm really taking my time to blend all of that wonderful nose concealer and nose highlighter out so I can get a pretty little snatched nose.
Should we give him a minute? Yeah. The holidays are here. BMW Roco Festnet on now.
Okay, so I'm gonna be putting powder under my eyes. I like to set my under eyes right after I blend out that last layer of concealer. So I'm getting my powder puff ready now. So you'll see I used a Laura Mercier powder. I used a tinted under eye powder. It's like a $36 powder. Ross. Ross has amazing high-end makeup for really cheap. I paid like $5 for this, and it's better than a TJ Maxx or a Marshalls because all of their high-end makeup is in like these plastic containers that are locked, like each individual product, so nobody can steal it or mess with it. And if you shop TJ Maxx or Marshalls makeup, you know people be in there digging in that makeup, stealing makeup. It's a mess when it comes to the high-end makeup, but Ross is not only cheaper, but everything is individually locked away. And I have been finding lots of high-end makeup there. So yes, I got this Laura Mercier brightening under eye powder for like $5 or $6. Amazing. And I've seen them at all the Rosses that I've been to. So definitely go to your Ross. But I prepped that pad, that powder puff before I even blend out so that I'm ready to go as soon as I blend it out because I don't want to blend and then wait and then have that start to crease. Um, so I like to blend and then set with powder. So you'll see me going in now. You need a powder puff. Powder puffs can be bought on Amazon for super cheap. I got like 20 for like $6 or something. They're amazing for me. They're the only way that I set my powders. I used to do brushes. I won't anymore. The most flawless way for me to set powder is with a powder puff, and they're very inexpensive. So you can just throw away and get a new one if you need to. And also, what you saw me do is you saw me go in with that powder and then kind of dust it off the back of my hand. So you really want to make sure that your powder is on the puff evenly so that it goes onto your skin evenly and not patchy. So that's what I was doing is kind of you put the powder on and then you kind of work it into the puff and take off the excess on the back of your hand. And that's going to give you just that seamless, even finish on your powder puff so that you're not getting like any splotchiness or patchiness or big clumps of powder. So again, same thing you're seeing here is I'm blending that lightest concealer into the blush and kind of blending on the side of my nose. You'll even see like my other side, you'd seen that I went back in with that blush brush because I really want to make sure that it doesn't drown out the blush. I kind of like it to have that angular look. So if I took too much off the blush by blending the concealer down, I'll definitely go back in with that blush brush and kind of bring blush a little bit more. And then doing the same thing here, which is just setting that under eye right away with that nice Laura Mercier under eye brightening powder. I do like to use kind of like a yellow toned powder under my eyes. So, um, I would say a little darker than like a benign banana powder because again, I go super bright. You'll see even with powders, I go super bright. So I like a powder that's more on the like orangey side or like the dark yellow side for my first initial set. And then after that, I'm gonna go in with super light powders. But again, if I just go in with super light powders from the get-go, it just to me looks too harsh. And so that is why I like to go a darker powder first. So you'll see I'm using Laura Mercier powder on the rest of my face just because under my eyes I go super bright, and that's why I like to start with that darker powder. But I'm using the Laura Mercier translucent powder on the rest of my face. So that's why I showed you that. Again, it's a pricier powder. I was able to get a holiday gift set from Sephora for like 40% off or maybe 50% off. So I got it for much less money. You can also find them. I've found Laura Mercier powder at TJ Maxx and Marshalls for like half off as well. This is that Juvia's Place complexion booster that I was talking about. So this you get in your skin tone. Again, it's not a full foundation. It's not like full coverage at all. It's basically just to even out your complexion and give you like a little glow, a little radiance. And because I wear so much powder, I like a little glow and radiance because I'm gonna mattify everything with powder anyway. So this gives me kind of like more of that like soft matte versus just like matte look. And this Real Techniques brush, I like it because it's nice and like it's fluffy, but it's dense enough that it's not going to move my product. And you can see that I put my product again in lines. I know where I want it to go. I'm going to blend it out into each other, but I put the lines exactly where I wanted them to go, right underneath that cheekbone bronzer and right over top of that jawline bronzer. And then I'm just going to blend those two together into each other, blend one up and blend the top one down into each other. But again, I don't want to move that product because I don't need this we'll call it foundation just for the sake of the video. I don't need foundation everywhere because I've already put my bronzer and everything, my concealer's down. So I'm literally just using this where I don't have product already. Well, I had that lighter concealer to kind of make everything pop, but I'm just using this to kind of blend everything out into my skin tone. So this is what I love about underpainting too, because again, I'm using a ton of products. Not gonna lie and say I'm not, but I'm not doing a whole face of foundation and then going over top of it. I'm literally only using this product to blend out concealer and highlight and blend it into my skin color, and that is it. Blending those edges out. So now you'll see me using that Laura Mercier. Now my whole face is wet. So basically you want to put all your wet products down and then you start going in with your powders. So all of my concealers, all of my liquid blush, liquid bronzers, all down. So now I'm going to set everything. And then you're going to see I have a whole routine with like 26 different powders because I cannot just be a normal person and only use one. So everywhere that we've highlighted, we are going to go in and set with Laura Mercier translucent powder, except of course the under eyes that we've already used, that Laura Mercier secret brightening under eye powder in that darker yellow shade, that I like just to again kind of make things a little less harsh before we go in with super harsh, super light powders under my eye. Okay, so I'm using the L'Oreal Perfection. This is like the medium deep one, the brown one. I'm using this powder all over my face with the powder puff. So like I said, get ready because I'm gonna do like 26 layers of powder. I set those highlighted areas with the translucent Laura Mercier, but the areas that are darker or skin tone colored, I'm not going to use a lighter powder. I'm going to use a darker powder. So I'm using this L'Oreal Perfection loose setting powder with the powder puff everywhere that I had put that Juvia's Place, we'll call it foundation, because that's my skin tone. This powder basically matches my skin tone. So that's gonna set that down. Maybe if you have really dry skin, you don't have to set your liquids. I don't know. I've seen people say that. I have like normal skin and a little oily some places, but I set everything with a powder and I set everything with like 26 powders. I just use setting sprays to bring moisture back in. If you don't set your liquid and cream products, maybe there are some things that are made that will self set. They're gonna move on you, they're gonna cake up on you, they're gonna crease on you, they're not gonna last as long on you, they're not gonna look as perfected. For me, powder really gives me that like blurred, pretty look. So you saw me put this L'Oreal powder on my forehead, again, where that Juvia's Place was, but I'm also setting that nose contour with this powder because, again, if I set it with the lighter translucent Laura Mercier powder, that's just kind of counterproductive. So I'm going with an angled, this is like an angled blending brush. Again, I got like four of these for like $3 on Amazon. I will input that on screen here so you can see. I think it's supposed to be an eye makeup brush, but like I said before, we do not care. With makeup, there are no rules. You use what you want, where you want to use it. All right, so after I set with loose powder just to get everything in place, I go in with powder foundation. I know there are people who do it the other way, who do like their pressed powders first. I don't. I do my loose powder to set in place. And then my powder foundation is really going to give me that super perfected look that I'm going for. And it's really going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for me because it's powder foundation. So it is like pretty full coverage. I'm using the Juvia's Place powder foundation. I'm not gonna lie, these are like $20 a piece, which to me, I'm not trying to pay that much. I got them for 40% off on at Ulta. Juvia's Place always has sales, so I would never pay $20 for it. That's just me. You'll see that I do have two colors. They're both lighter than my skin color, but I'm doing basically the same technique that I do with concealer, I do with powder foundation as well, because again, it has that coverage that like a loose setting powder doesn't have. It's like a fuller coverage because it's a powder foundation. So I'm doing the darker of those two lighter. They're both lighter than my skin, but I'm using the darker of those two kind of all over everywhere that I used highlighter. And again, that's going to kind of make it a little less harsh. Now I'm coming in with the CoverGirl Outlast, and this is my skin color. This is like I don't even think they call it a powder foundation. They call it like a full coverage powder or something. To me, it's a powder foundation, but I'm using that on that larger powder puff, and that's is my skin color. So again, I'm putting that everywhere that I use that Juvia's Place complexion booster, and it's serving as my skin color powder foundation to again like perfect my skin. just kind of give it a little more coverage. This is why I don't need a like full coverage liquid concealer or a liquid foundation because I already know I'm about to put powder foundation over top of it as well. Even though this isn't marketed as a powder foundation, I don't think. But on the forehead as well. So literally everywhere that I put that Juvia's Place. And also using all this powder, it really helps your makeup to stay all day. Like even if you sweat, even if it's hot outside, you got like 10 layers of powder uh to keep you safe. So literally like I don't have to touch up my face. My face is good all day because I do all of this to set it in place. So I'm using Juvia's Place powder blush. So everything that I do in liquid or cream, you're gonna see I follow it up with the powder, and it really helps with the longevity. It really helps with just like seeing it, like once I set everything with powder, you can see like you kind of can't really see that blush anymore. You see it kind of peeking through, but I'm gonna use this powder Juvia's Place blush, which again I got 40% off at Ulta, and I'm going to use this Real Techniques blush brush that is a fluffier brush. So it's really good for laying down powder, and I'm gonna put that all over where I put that liquid blush. And now you can see that that blush that was kind of covered up by the powder is now popping right on back out. I like to put like complementary colors. So you saw that the blush I use is kind of like the liquid blush by Elf was like a terracotta color. So I'm using like an orange colored powder blush by Juvia's Place just to kind of keep those colors together in the same family of blush, but this is going to make that blush pop. And blush tends to disappear off your face, but since I have the liquid blush and a powder blush, it's going to stay on and vibrant all day long. And we love that. And that's why I layer everything that I do with liquid or cream with a powder. All right, so I'm using a powder bronzer from Juvia's Place here. And just like I said with the blush, we're going back in everywhere that we use that Elf liquid bronzer. We're gonna go over it with powder. This is Juvia's Place. I like this powder bronzer. It gives you two different colors. Again, I got this for 40% off at Ulta. I don't recommend paying full price because they're like $18 or something like that. I'm not spending that much on bronzer, but to each their own. I used an angled brush, so I talked about that um, $5 Eco Tools brush set that I got on Amazon that had the brush that I use for my liquid cream blush and a second brush. This is the second brush. So it's a nice angled brush, and I really like a nice angled brush when I am working with my bronzer, my powder bronzer. It just helps kind of again fit in that cheek where I want it to go, and I really don't have to do any work because the shape of the brush just kind of lays the product exactly where I want it to go. So again, we just have to be kind of careful that we're not going too low, we're not blending down because that's going to make your face all droopy and old looking, and we want to be snatched and lifted, and that is what I'm doing with the powder bronzer. And again, it's just really going to make sure that your bronzer is visible without being harsh because we layered it and it lasts all day. My makeup literally lasts all day. I do not have to touch up. I don't care how hot it is, nothing. My makeup's good. I always call it bulletproof. It ain't going nowhere. I'm good. So even that hairline, same thing. I don't want that kind of like light line at my hairline and then go past my edges. Now it's all of a sudden dark. So I even put that in my hairline, and then you'll see me taking that teeny tiny little blending brush, and I'm gonna do that eye bronzer that I had. So again, I don't want that big old brush for such a small area. So I'm gonna do um my eye kind of bronzer. And I even do this because most days with eye makeup, I just use bronzer, honestly, and this helps shape that eye. So I'm going in with the lighter of the two. So there's one that's more red and kind of like dark and vibrant. And then there's a lighter one that's more like neutral toned. I'm using that more neutral toned one on my nose contour. Like I said, when you use like more of a harsh um, contour bronzer color, it looks very harsh on the nose. So I use that darker, more red one everywhere else, and then on my nose only, I'm using that lighter, more neutral because the nose just it's very easy to go overboard. So if you can go lighter on your bronzer slash contour color on your nose, do so. That's why I like having this Juvia's Place that has two different colors. So I'm not stuck to using, the same color everywhere because my nose just acts differently. So here you're seeing me do the same thing I did with that liquid concealer using the lighter concealer. I'm using another one of those CoverGirl Eyelash powders, a lighter one. It's not as bright as the concealer that I used, but it's lighter than my skin tone, than the powder I'd already used. And that's just to kind of clean up that powder bronzer and make it pop a little more. You'll see it all kind of comes together. I know you can still see where it's light there. And then this is that lighter Juvia's Place powder foundation. Oh, I forgot to mention those CoverGirl Outlast powders. I think they're like $13, $14 in stores. I don't even know if they make that powder anymore, to be very honest with you, but I found them on Amazon for like $3. So do with that as you will. That's why I got them because they were like $3 a piece. And so you can see here, I am using that lighter Juvia's Place powder foundation. And I'm, again, doing the same technique that I did with the lightest concealer that I use, where I'm only putting it like really in the center of my face. You saw that I used that darker Juvia's Place powder foundation all over my under eye, but I'm really concentrating this like on the sides of my nose, kind of in that inner corner of my eye, like really in the middle of my face, because again, I used to use like my lightest color all the way over, and it looked very harsh and very not natural, and it was not a good look. So I learned less is more here, and just kind of concentrating on the middle of the face will give you that super bright look that you're going for, but it will keep it more of like a natural and wearable look that doesn't look so harsh. And as you see, I use this. Again, balancing out the face. So I use this forehead, upper lip, chin, all those areas that we would use the lightest. Nose, of course, tip of the nose, and down the bridge in that highlighted place. Everywhere that I use that lightest concealer, I'm using this lightest powder as well.
Speed down when I'm walking through. I had a couple God and I was talking to him. I said, Father, I need mercy, please. I've been on my knees and I'm crawling to him. I said, all my life, I've been struggling, juggling. All my lights getting cut in this dark. See me sinking, are you flooding the art? Can't tell my angels and demons apart. They see my appearance, but you see the heart. Shut me and made me restart. Climbing to heaven instead of the charts. And spreading the news cause I read it in Mark. Been on the moon while they kept it in park. Try to be cautious and moving around. This piece of my feet when my shoes hit the ground was worthy before, but I'm cool with it now.
Okay, I'm using my first spray. This is Morphe. It's a setting spray. I love this one because it's a hydrating spray, and it's not necessarily going to extend the wear of your makeup, but what it's going to do is melt everything together. So I use sprays. I use like a setting spray to kind of set everything and blend everything and take away that powdery look. And then I finish off with the finishing spray that's really gonna lock everything down. So I love the Morphe spray. I think it's like $16 or something. So not the most inexpensive, but MAC has a good spray too, Fix Plus, that you can find at cosmetics company that is usually a very good price. Um, I recently got this Color Pop one that's supposed to be comparable. I'm gonna test that out, so we'll see. I got it from Ross for like $3, but you'll see that this just takes away that powdery look because I have so much powder on my face already. I'm gonna add more powder, don't worry. Um, but it takes away the powdery look and just makes everything kind of melt into my skin. And so again, before I do anything else, because I spray so much of it on my face, I use my fan and I dry my face down because I don't want my face to be all wet and anything like that. Especially like my under eyes, especially my smile lines, because they can get all creased up if I just let it sit there wet. So I like to dry those especially. So you're gonna see me using these are the Juvia's Place finishing powders. These are a matte finishing powder. I will add that when I recorded this, I usually use two different finishing powders. I use like a more like satiny finishing powder and a matte finishing powder. I did not have my satin finishing powder at this time because unfortunately I can't find a like good priced alternative. I have to get like an expensive powder. It has to be a baked powder. And I'll show you guys that later. But These are the matte ones. These are Juvia's Place finishing powder. So I like a finishing powder because it's different from a setting powder. It gives you really this like blurred look. I think it's more like silicone or something like that, but it really like blurs everything. So I'm not looking for coverage anymore. I'm looking for a really blurred, really flawless finish. And that's what I get from these powders. So as you see, I have multiple colors, so I'm going in with the lighter color. I think I have three colors in this. So same that I do with like the powder foundation. I'm using that powder puff, and I'm going to use the darker of the lighter colors for kind of like all over my under eyes and everything. And again, I'm kind of just evening that out in the back of my hand, and you will see that again, I'm just kind of placing that lighter powder, and hopefully you can tell that it's really kind of just making everything look more flawless. Again, I'm not necessarily looking for coverage because I've already used powder foundation, but this goes on top of that like wet spray because I don't like a wet face. And just kind of dries everything down again and gets me like that matte look again. But again, I get more of like a soft matte because I've gone in with the matte with a hydrating spray and then come back in with matte. So again, just using that lighter powder to highlight everything. Love it.
You ain't gotta be like me, no, you should be like Jesus. Said they got an issue, but that's something they don't bring us. I know I'm talking grace, but outside you would leave us alone. That my place is like I see in the summer, cause it's summer. It's summer, it's summer, it's summer. Summer, summer, it's summer, it's summer, it's summer. My pilot's coming, so go if I got it coming, son. My lady coming, baby, if I got it coming, son. Yeah, summer, 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 summer. Don't mind me, don't mind me, I'm in this way. I ain't hit my final form, I'm charging up the side flip. I can't go my own, I hate to break it all for real, for real. But your enemies is like your brothers, know it's hard but still. Harboring that hate won't get you far in hills. Wanna be free, I know, no, no, no. You can be free like you, get up on stay your way. It's really up to you. You wanna be that won't fly with you. I'm tryna be like Jesus, now, now, I wanna be like me, like me, like don't mind me, don't mind me, I'm in this well. I ain't hit my father phone, I'm charging up the side flip. I can't go my own, I hate to break it, I won't sign that deal, break it down. If they blowin' smoke, tell them get out my grill. You ain't gotta be, you know you should be like Jesus. Said they got an issue, but that's something they don't bring us. I know I'm talking grace, but outside you would leave us alone. That my place is like they see in the summer, cause it's summer. My pilot's coming, so go and my got it coming, son. My lady coming, baby, and my got it coming.
So I added basically everything on my face again. I did the lighter finishing powder, the skin tone finishing powder. Now I'm going to go back in with a bronzer, but because I like that kind of like soft matte, not all the way flat matte look, I'm going in with a bronzer that's more luminous. So this is the NYX Buttermelt bronzer. And the Juvia's Place powder bronzers that I had used before were just like flat matte powders, right? This has like a little like sparkle, like a little luminosity to it. And I like that because it's going to give my skin some life. When you put so much like mattifying product on your skin, it can just kind of look dry and lifeless. And so I like to balance out like the super matte and the luminosity. I don't like a dewy face. I don't like a wet face. So I use luminous powders to make that happen. So I'm still getting the longevity. But I'm getting that luminosity that I'm looking for as well. And I really like how this balances out with like under my eyes and kind of like those areas that I set with the Juvia's Place finishing powder, they're all matte. So when I have all matte and then I add this luminous bronzer to my face, it's again, I don't want a whole like luminous face. I don't want everything to be luminous. I just want some things. So it really kind of makes that bronzer pop. It makes that like hairline, that cheekbone, that jawline, it pops a little bit more and just gives it kind of different finish and different texture than the rest of the face, which I really, really love. Where I do like to keep it matte, however, is my nose because my nose is what gets oily. So I don't play around with a bunch of luminosity there. You'll see I do add powder highlight a couple places, but for the most part, I like to like mattify my nose as much as possible, and then I just hit with very strategically placed highlight to kind of draw the eyes where I want your eyes to go to make my nose look slim and snatched and lifted and all those beautiful things. So I'm using that matte Juvia's Place kind of like skin tone powder again because I want the contour on my nose to not be super harsh. That's why I'm using that skin tone powder and it's gonna mattify it. So it's all good things. And you'll see that I use that darker of the lighter Juvia's Place finishing powders kind of all over. And I'm doing what I usually do. And I'm coming in with the lighter, the super light of the Juvia's Place finishing powders. And right here, I just remembered that I forgot a step. I usually use like a baked powder, and that's what I didn't have. I had been using this Elf Halo Glow powder under my eyes for this step, and it just didn't work. So I like a baked finishing powder that's like a satiny finish after I put on the Morphe spray, and then I'll do a mattifying spray, and then I'll do my matte finishing powder. So when I was like looking upset, it's because I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot a step. I forgot one of my finishing powders. But it's okay. It still comes out cute. And to be very honest, I didn't even have the baked powder at that point because I was not trying to spend $20 or $30 for no powder, but I cheaped out on the elf powder and it just did not give the look that I wanted. So I ended up getting the baked powder, and that one I just couldn't avoid paying full price for, unfortunately. But you're seeing again, I'm just using that super light powder sparingly. I'm just concentrating it the middle of the face, the sides of the nose to really help snatch and define that nose. I'm just making sure everything blends in flawlessly.
Long as I got soul spirit, know that I can never lack. No, 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 you broke before me, keep the cross upon my back. Tell my story for its glory, we ain't never going back. We ain't never going back. We ain't never going back. Keep that good in me, all my faces Louis V. Project never like the sin, I was in that foolery. The devil, he was tricking me, money, he was tricking me. Get trapped and covered this, look, was loving it. Jesus took away the sin, past, present, and the rest. So that means you can live life to the fully, yes. What you speak is what you have, and on these tracks I do no blabbing. Never glorify the devil's kingdom, but I'm still rap. Long as I got sort of spirit, know that I can never lack. Know the Lord, he go before me, keep the cross upon my back. Tell my story for its glory, we ain't never going back. We ain't never going back. We ain't never going back. Step in the building, Bible on me. 1, 2, 3, you know we deep. Till I know it's spit to see. Walk in the church, I ain't paying the fee. I make time for God. He make time for me. Yeah, if you 18, 20, you said when we come in your name, we coming in. Okay. You know, that nigga girl got me move on. That's why I still gotta carry my peace. I was looking for change and they want me to pay, but I knew that his mercy was free. Talk about giving me I make time for God. He make time for me. Yeah, if you 18, 20, you said when we come in your name, we coming in. Walk with God and we not finna stop. Told you what not, don't need a Glock. Got the armor, God in this deep in my sock. I ain't never thought that I'd be top with the rock. Ain't with the gang and I ain't with the block. I've been serving the Lord and I know he on top. You speaking the truth and you not finna stop. And I don't need a drug, got to move on. God, so I still gotta carry my peace. I was looking for change and they want me to pay, but I knew that his mercy was free. Talk about living me life and they show me the word, I guess I gotta read. You know, every day I got the keys. They your dog, they still got the fleas. And the law, I still gotta read. And it's still a disease. I'm a Christ, so I gotta
So
show you.
here you're seeing I actually grabbed that lightest Juvia's Place powder foundation again just because my nose wasn't looking snatched enough. I really wanted to brighten that, and because the finishing powder and the setting powders just don't have the coverage, I decided to go back in with the foundation powder just to like really snatch it and get it brightened. All right, so I talked about my second finishing spray or my second spray. This is more of a finishing spray, so this is going to be your like mattifying. A lot of these are like waterproof, like glues your makeup on. It's like hairspray basically. That's why you see me like really trying to hold my breath. L'Oreal has one like this. One Size is a popular one. So these kind of like heavy duty sprays that like lock everything in. I like this to really lock in my makeup. Again, I don't touch my makeup up. I don't care. It's been 12 hours. I don't need to touch my face up. Between this spray, all the different powders that I have on, I'm good. So I'm still letting this dry down. It dries down pretty quickly. This is the Juvia's Place one. I don't know if I already mentioned that. So this is the Juvia's Place spray. But again, there are quite a few options in this category that's going to give you like a really nice matte, like really set finish spray. So again, because usually I would have used a baked finishing powder that was more like luminous and a little radiant on the step that I had just used, I would now be using the Juvia's Place matte powder. But because I didn't do that step, 'cause I didn't have the powder, I'm having to do the Juvia's Place matte powder yet again, but that's okay. So again, just kind of doing that powder. And I think my eyes are watering a little bit. Like I had some weirdness going on the side of my face or the side of my nose that I had to deal with here that you can see me kind of messing with and trying to perfect. So I just started using this brow gel. I really like it. I did not used to use like a brow gel. I would just use brow pencils for the longest time or like a brow pomade. I have finally seen the light and I love this like brow laminating gel. I was using like soap brow. I want to say like the Elf soap brow. And I like that as well because I want to get that brow hair definition. So I will say that I just started using this and I really struggled with like maybe applying too much. So I had like just leftover product that had dried up and kind of made a mess. But the results and the finish is so pretty and it actually like holds my hairs and makes them like you can actually see the individual hairs, and it's so pretty that I'm still trying to learn like the exact amount, exact technique needed to use this, but I love it. They do have a clear one as well, as you saw, it's the Ardell. I got the dark brown one just because I like to add some color. I have like 6-year-old microblading on my eyebrows. That's pretty much all faded out, but you can kind of see a little bit. Um, so here I am again, just trying to like make it work with the flat spatula thing to like lift up the brow hairs and keep the brow hairs in place. I'm still really like trying to figure this all out, but I love how it looks. I just make a mess and I know that I'm not doing it exactly right. So bear with me as I figure it out. I'm going to figure it out and it's going to be amazing.
Differently built, top of my game like I'm walking on stilts. If there's a question regarding my skill, you know I made the beat and I was getting killed. Talk to me nice, know who I'm with, I ain't telling you twice. Attention to detail, I'm taking it light. And putting in that work in my rebirth in Christ. Hey, top tier, got it on lock, yeah. Out of this world, on point like Spock is. Maybe that PHAT, remember like Chris Tucker told us a lot. You tell me, shout out God, baby, I ain't lucky. Let's talk the park illegally, but I ain't tripping, I can wait. Sunshine, well moisturized when I melanate the juice organic, baby. This ain't come from hell, I'm like the way. I'm making moves, I set my grace. You need my food, don't mean to be rude. Just let me kick it, like house shoes. I'm out the way, I'm making moves. I set my grace, they need my food.
So, like I said, I used to be an eyebrow pencil girl, but now I really like to kind of show those individual brow hairs. I think it's so pretty. So, I am using this Neutrogena um, brow marker, and it is amazing. It's a super thin tip, and instead of just kind of drawing on the brow shape, you literally just go in and create little hair-like strokes as you see me doing here. So I already have that Ardell laminating gel in my brows, and that's pushing those brow hairs up and into the shape that I want. And then I'm just using this Neutrogena brow marker in, I believe it's a dark brown, and just making those brow hair like strokes to get the final shape and fullness that I want. Don't worry, it does not have to be perfect because we are going to clean this up with concealer on the top and the bottom. I don't know how the girls do their brows before they do the rest of their complexion. I get product everywhere. So for me, doing my brows last is helpful. I would like to try doing brows before because I know a lot of people love that. I just feel like I would need to touch them up because I'm getting product all over my brows. So I'll try that again, but for me, this is what works. It's doing my brows after.
In revenue, and I'm just getting started. really. Somebody gotta feel me. Heard the devil wanna get me. Relax, I'm chilling. There's no pretending. Me and Jesus really locked in, and that won't be ending. It's just the beginning. I put that rock on shorty finger. I ain't running game. You some emojis, that's some scripture. We are not the same. Do my thing. Don't be calling on me 'cause he know my name.
So I use my lighter concealer under my eyebrows to kind of carve them out, and I use a darker, closer to my skin tone concealer on top of my eyebrows to carve them out because we don't want halo brows. We learned that back in like 2016. For me, it's just easier to blend that concealer out under my eyes with my finger. I just kind of let the warmth of my finger kind of blend that in. I'm keeping my eyes super simple. I typically keep my eyes pretty simple because, as you see, my complexion takes over an hour to do. So I tend to just keep my eyes really simple. In a normal day, I literally just dust bronzer all over my eye, keep it moving. I'm good. I'm gonna do a little bit more today, but you're gonna see those two more of those brushes, those Real Technique brushes that I got in that eye set for $10 for four brushes. I'm using the like blending brushes. There are two. There's like a longer, skinnier one, and this kind of like rounder one that I'm using to blend. I'm still using a bronzer though. I'm using that Juvia's Place bronzer to kind of like shape and define that eye and blending that out nicely. And you will see the rest of my super basic little eye look because again, I haven't done real eye makeup in years just because I spend so much time on my complexion. And as I've gotten older, I'm like, I don't necessarily need like a whole cut crease and all that stuff today, and blue and purple and all the fun colors. I might get back into it, but I usually just do browns, neutrals, bronzers, keep it moving. So here I told you I have watery eyes, and my watery eyes are making a little appearance. So I'm just using concealer to cover up where my watery eyes had removed some of that product. And I will say, even though these concealers say that they're waterproof, that does not apply to tears, unfortunately, because it's not just water. If anybody knows of any tear-proof concealers or powders that are actually tear-proof and not waterproof, let me know. I would love to try them out because some days my eyes are just super watery and literally will remove like all of my under eye makeup and then I'll cry for real because I just spent all this time and then my little watery eyes ruined it and then I'm crying real tears and it's just a big old mess. I didn't add that this is a Juvia's Place. I think it's the Warrior 2 palette that I'm using. Again, just using like the browns in there to create some definition, dimension in my eye, using those blending brushes from that Real Techniques palette just to kind of shape out that eye, using them in my crease, my outer corner, just to kind of get some dimension and shape my eye a little bit. And
When you're the leader in disaster cleanup and restoration, how do you make like it never even happened happen? I'm being prepared for anything. Sir, bro, like it never even happened.
Listen up. I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you're still paying full price when you shop online, we need to talk. You know that thrill you feel when you find a discount code that actually works? Imagine that, but automatic. I'm talking coupon codes.
Look, everybody wanna shine, but nobody being the light. Nobody doing it. The enemy been on the prowl, but I'm not believing that hype. Whenever I get too distracted, it's hard to succeed in the fight. Evil in sight, surrounded by Jezebels, but it ain't even my type. I got a wife, I got a life to save, I gotta secure, I gotta behave, I gotta be pure. All of the pain we have to endure is the reason his reign is always ensured. The reason my brain so quickly mature is the reason my enemies been insecure. I do not deal with conviction no more, cause when I repent it, he gave me the cure. Yeah, that's that real talk. We not crawling, we not tiptoeing, it's a real walk. All like Costco, the way all the blessings come in bulk. God in control, whenever I pray, he turn my sins off. The word of God taught me the truth after I dived in. Now I'm going dry my fruit right here like it was dying in. God already had my heart, I put my mind in. Consistency is key, you see results when you put time in. My discernment on infinity. I lay all my burdens on the Trinity. Separate yourself from every enemy, so you could operate in God's energy.
okay, so I'm gonna tell you now, the lighting in my bathroom is horrendous because if I turn on like the larger overhead light, the exhaust fan goes off and it's so loud, and I didn't want to deal with that when I was recording. So I'm gonna show you pictures of how I looked in my kitchen lighting because that lighting is so much better, even though I had lights set up in here, like it just does not look very good. So the final look, I'm just including pictures from my kitchen, and also I didn't realize that I didn't record putting on eyeliner. Sorry about that. I live for a winged liner, so I just did a wing liner. I use a felt tip eyeliner, like marker basically. It's the easiest way for me. I do have lash clusters on, so I don't put mascara on my top lashes, just on my bottom lashes. And I did also want to add that I do use a powder highlight on my cheekbones, the tip of my nose, and my lip combo is literally just clear lip gloss and brown lip liner. Thank you.